Anybody else celebrating Dead Duck Day today?
I don't know what that means.
June 5th?
Why is it a dead duck?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Dead Duck Day is celebrated in honor of the Scandinavian scientist.
It sounds made up.
No. It's
This is
the guy who was
This thing.
It celebrates the discovery of the phenomenon of homosexual necrophilia in male ducks.
Ah.
They've been celebrating Dead Duck Day for the past 22 years. It's great for people who are fans of alliteration and ducks.
Not those dead ones.
Yeah. Well, they don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
The director of the Natural History Museum in Rotterdam, a guy named Kees Milker, was finishing up his work for the day. We're going back to the mid-'90s for this, and he looked out, and he heard this big thump on the window, looked out onto the yard there, and there was a duck who had hit the glass, fallen dead onto the lawn, and near him was another male duck. And the guy watched, and the live duck walked right over, mounted the dead one, and started banging it. And the guy started taking pictures. Male ducks are apparently known for aggressive sexual behavior. But before that...
And they got that weird penis.
Now, it mentions that, and I don't know anything about duck penises, but you're right. How do you know about duck penises?
Because probably 2010 or 11, there was a DuckTales realistic cartoon.
I see.
And it was just something that somebody made and put on YouTube, and it showed graphically how duck penises
Yeah, they have
work.
long, spiky peni.
Yeah.
And often force themselves on unwilling females.
Yeah.
In my understanding, that's just called nature.
That's
Most
every
of
man.
nature. I mean, I'm sure that there are females in any species that present themselves, right? They're in estrus or mating season or whatever. But unwilling females, it seems to be, by and large, the coin of the realm.
Yeah, it's called Scientifically Accurate DuckTales.
Okay. It sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it's...
But before this guy in Rotterdam, nobody had ever observed homosexual necrophilia in ducks. And so, ever since 1995, every June 5th has been celebrated as Dead Duck Day. So, for those of you who celebrate Happy Dead Duck Day, you think they would have called it something else? This guy published a paper on it and everything. It's probably this chance encounter with his window and this duck and another duck, these two animals of one species and one of another, met purely by coincidence in this area, and it led to, sure, a mundane scientific discovery, but an interesting one nonetheless.
There are so many jobs, and you'll never grasp just how many jobs there are.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who have dedicated their entire lives to ducks.
Mhm.
That's it. They are duck experts. I mean, I'm sure they have like a name, you know what I mean? But like every species has a group of people that are that's all they do.
Yeah.
Just ducks. And this is like, who's finding this out? Like, this is such random information.
You know
to
what it is, though, is there's my thought on that is twofold. One, I wish I loved anything as much as some people love, to become an expert on something like that. And you're right. There are people who have spent their careers studying mosquitoes, right? It's
Yeah.
the deadliest animal on the planet. It makes sense. But in service of something bigger than yourself and science and in exploration, these people go, I'm going to zero in on this because they're so interested in it. They've devoted everything to it. And it might seem silly to everybody else. And the other part of that is, to me, is it's very much at your own peril, this thing we're in now where people don't believe in experts. There are a lot of experts, right? Most people walking around are stupid. That's why a lot of people want to feel like they know more than other people, even though they don't. They haven't studied it. They haven't done any kind of experimentation, but this decrying of experts or thinking, that regular people walking around know as much as a guy who published a paper on homosexual necrophilia in the mallard, right? I mean, it couldn't get more obscure, but there's no way you're going to know anything more. Listen, growing up, loved Daffy Duck. He was my favorite cartoon character, was Daffy Duck. It's not even an adjective that you hear used that much anymore. When was the last time you called somebody Daffy? It's a great unused, never heard it?
No, I've heard it. I've never been like, that guy's Daffy.
Right. I don't know if it comes from Daft, from the Brits. I don't know where that comes from. I did hear a friend of mine refer to his girlfriend as a daffy bitch one time, and
funny.
I fell off my chair. I said, that's beautiful. It's insulting, but if you've got to insult someone, make it lyrical.
My favorite, one of my favorite British insults is when someone calls someone a muppet.
I haven't heard that.
Oh, they're just like, you're an absolute muppet.
Yeah. A muppet. So, Dead Duck Day is today. A happy birthday to Kenny G. Of course, every time Kenny G is mentioned on this show, a smooth jazz angel gets its wings. Kenny G is 68 years old today. I met the man one time when I was doing radio sales. There was a break in my broadcasting career. My station in Chicago had gone through some stuff, and I was off the air. And I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to pack my crap again. I'm near my family and my friends. And I started doing radio sales for a smooth jazz station in Chicago called WNUA. It's no longer there. It was around for 27 years. Then it flipped to Spanish. But Kenny G came in one time. And it was like this guy, literally like the Pied Piper. Right? You know those drawings you see of the Pied Piper? He's walking through with the flute or whatever.
Dancing around.
Yeah, and
the town square.
Even though Kenny G played the saxophone, he played one of those long, straight saxophones.
It's the soprano saxophone.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure he can play all different kinds.
Yeah, he plays all kinds.
Yeah,
but like that, the one he plays the most is the soprano saxophone.
I think he's like most associated with that. Yeah, the soprano saxophone. There you go. That's the one that goes, hey, hey, I'm playing this saxophone.
Forget about it.
Oh, hey.
What did I say? I work in waste management.
That's right. I pour concrete. I play the saxophone. Hey. So, yeah.
Do you think anybody could just play the saxophone?
Not anybody can do this. Hey. So Kenny G's, and who couldn't have been nicer, by the way. He's well, he was a young man. I shouldn't say he was a young man at the time. I mean, how long ago was that? 15 years ago, I guess. It was right before I moved to Cleveland, so he would have been whatever 68 minus 15 is. There's no way to know that, but Kenny G, of
29.
course, is. I'm sorry.
29.
29 years old. He was just a young man, young Kenny Gorlick, and yeah, God, the ladies couldn't get enough of that stuff. And, you know, I think these days he's probably just relegated to doing, like, Christmas albums and things. But, you know, he was at one time, for that format, when I was selling smooth jazz radio, for that format, he was the guy. He was like he's one of the best-selling artists of all time in any genre, this guy. And he's very down-to-earth when you chat with him, and he kind of has a vibe about him that is very unassuming. He's from Seattle. Anyway, he's 68 years old today. So happy birthday to the great Kenny G. Hello.
Hey, this guy.
Yeah, is this Kenny G?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on?
Bill, is it?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you, man?
I'm good.
I heard you guys talking about that Charlie Daniels thing.
Yeah. And,
Yeah.
how you lost to a mortal. And, but you worked real hard at learning to play the fiddle. That's pretty good.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to clear up some misconceptions, if you will. Everybody thinks that I just knew how to play it. I knew how to beat this guy, right? And I didn't. I'll be honest with you. I practiced a lot.
Really?
Yeah, I thought I was going to beat that dude. And I did not. And
That's embarrassing.
yeah, they still make fun of me for it.
As they should.
Yeah, no lie.
Yeah.
Everybody's always like, oh, how's Johnny doing?
Why did you accept the fiddle match? Why didn't you play to one of your strengths? like a torturing contest or something.
The fiddle was his idea.
You think they're doing a lot of torturing contests in Georgia?
Yeah.
Only for people who are trying to vote.
Yeah.
No, I wanted to prove to them that I was the best
Okay.
at the fiddle. Which, again, it's my fault because I was trained on the bass guitar.
Well, here's my question. Who was the judge?
The judge of the fiddling contest?
Yeah. Who was it? Like, I mean, it was between you and the other guy.
It was the mayor of the town at the time. I
Okay.
don't remember his name.
Well, it seems like he's got a vested interest in him. You know, he doesn't seem very impartial, is all I'm saying. I feel like you might have gotten screwed.
No, the judge actually wanted me to win. He was very much on my side.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. He was like,
But you just
"Oh,
blew
hey."
it.
Well, yeah. The guy was like,
Wow, that's
hey, if I
embarrassing.
vote for you, would you give me all this stuff? What about that? He was really trying to, he was laying it on thick.
Yeah.
Dude was thirsty, if you know what I mean. But no, I thought I beat him fair and square.
Well, the song says otherwise.
I know. And
That's also crazy that you had this contest and then someone wrote a song. Because, like, it's not very often that there's songs about contests. Like, that's, you know, that story is, that like a story like that, you know, there's definitely lots of stories that get passed down over generations. But for it to become a iconic song like that, that's, whew.
well, I'll tell you what, though, that wasn't even the first one that we did. That was just the one that got really popular.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. I did a song before that. It was called, we did a song, The Devil Went Up to Dayton.
Okay.
And it was me and this old fart with a mandolin.
If you lost to him, I'm going to be very, very embarrassed.
No, I beat that guy.
Oh, I was going to
Yeah.
say, because I've heard that guy play.
That's why I puffed up my chest. I'm like, I beat this guy on a mandolin. I don't even know how to play that.
Yeah, neither does he.
Well, I found that out pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I noticed he was just strumming one string the
Yeah.
whole time. And he had on some weird hat, too. But anyway, I just wanted to clear that up
Okay.
and make sure that everybody knows I did practice.
You did practice. You did your best.
Yeah, I did my best.
All right, well,
but,
It
and
wasn't good enough.
Charlie Daniels is dead now, and he's down here with me, so we talk about it all the time.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
All right, now.
Devil, devil, go away. Devil, devil, go away. I don't want you round no more. Don't come knocking at my door. Devil, don't you come this way. Devil, devil, go away.
Oh, by the way, you know who else we lost? And I think it's a very, very sad thing because he kind of operated in a very specific point in time for a lot of us. I think specifically maybe Gen Xers and people who came before. Probably not so much for you guys, but for somebody like me. Brother Marquis has died at the age of 58. You guys know Brother Marquis?
No.
No.
He was part of an amazing...
Is that Biz Markie's real name?
No.
Oh.
He was part of an amazing musical collective in the 80s called Two Live Crew.
Okay. Heard of them.
Of course, everybody knows Luther Campbell. He was the front man. Two Live Crew was the first rap group that anybody saw that had an Asian guy in it. Brother Marquis, his name was Mark Ross. He died. He's 58 years old. And, of course, these guys just exploded out of Miami. They were getting banned in the 90s. It was the first rap album to have that parental advisory sticker on it. And everybody was flipping out over Two Live Crew. And the song Me So Horny, which was the lightest song on the album, by the way. It was the least
sexual.
problematic
Yeah.
one was Me So Horny. Despite being grammatically incorrect, it was a real earworm. It was a banger. Because until then, you know, the reason everybody flipped out is because until then, you know, rap had been about sneakers and gold chains. And Two Live Crew comes in, and they're like, hey, pop your coochie. You know? Drop that D. Come on. Me So Horny. So Two Live Crew had to walk so that everybody else could run. And Brother Marquis has passed away. Luther Campbell, you know, this was a guy who was fighting for free speech, you know, because there was a judge in Florida who had legally declared a Two Live Crew album obscene.
Oh.
You know, a lot of these First Amendment cases, they kind of steer clear of those kinds of proclamations. The old line about porn, you know, I know it when I see it. But when As Nasty as They Want to Be came out, people were like, this is when like Tipper Gore and the PMRC were riding high. Getting my nut. I mean, these guys. Yeah. And so, yeah, these guys, hip-hop was very tame before Two Live Crew. Like I said, it was just, you know, it was Run DMC and guys, you know, gangster rap hadn't happened yet. Now they sound almost quaint. If you listen to Two Live Crew, you're like, wow, this was very much.
Yeah, compared to like what Cardi B's doing.
Or even Beyonce sings about taking you to Red Lobster if you F her good. So everybody's getting in on the action. But Two Live Crew, Luther Campbell and the other guys. Fresh Kid Ice, that was the Asian guy, Christopher Wong. He died a few years ago. These guys are dying early. You know, late 40s, early 50s. What's that?
They live hard lives. It's not like they were just hanging out after their shows.
Well, no,
you know what I mean?
In the late 80s, maybe they were, but not now. Oh, God knows what they were doing.
That stuff affects your, I mean, if they're doing drugs and drinking, and, you know?
Yeah. Yep. So Uncle Luke Luther Campbell, who's been on this program a couple of times over the years, he's always out there trying to fight the good fight. Because I think, like, they don't have access to their back catalog or something, and so. Oh, but anyway, R.I.P. to Brother Marquis, another member of Two Live Crew who's dead. And if you've never heard Two Live Crew, you really should go find some of their stuff. Find As Nasty as They Want to Be. Find Banned in the USA. Find all those things. Brother Marquis would guest on a lot of other rappers' albums. He did stuff with Ice-T back in the day, and, you know, anyway. I've got to take a break. If you want to send a text, 35192.